Today, we're going to be talking about on-site SEO, how to optimize your website pages for search engine optimization. And there'll be lots of different aspects we'll be covering. We'll be talking about page titles, meta descriptions, and headings. We'll be going through internal linking and anchor text, content creation, and how to use AI support for that. And also, we'll be talking about Hike's brand new on-site optimizer feature and how to use some of these things that we talk about and how to use that in this new feature. And then we'll have a quick Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions about anything we covered today, you can ask any questions there. Cool. So page titles, and this is the best practice around each of these elements. So basically, the main thing about page titles is you want to focus on the core topic of the page. So it needs to be crystal clear when you read the page title, what that page is about. So you can include the primary keyword in there. That's not a problem. And try to make it as natural as possible to it. So it needs to flow, needs to read, without sounding like you've stuffed a keyword in there. So focus on the core topic and include the primary keyword, making it as engaging as possible, because a page title will show in the search engine results pages, the SERPs and Google. And it's basically the blue underlined link. And you want it as enticing as possible so people click on it and go to your website. The maximum is 55 characters. I mean, typically, Google says it's 55 to 60 characters because sometimes it depends on the pixel widths and stuff. But just to be safe, just stick with maximum 55 characters to avoid risk of truncation. So because Google will eventually truncate it if it doesn't think it's if it's too long. And ideally, you have the keyword of that page near to the beginning of the title. So it's good to have titles. For example, let's say the title, the topic is on-site SEO. So instead of the title being something like the beginners, the best guide for blah 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 blah. And on-site SEO, it can be more like on-site SEO, the beginner's guide with top tips or something. I mean, that's best practice. It doesn't have to be like that, but the thing is, when people like scan through these SERP listings, they'll tend to read the first few words of the title. Same with meta descriptions, and that's why it's important to have it as close to the beginning as possible. So meta descriptions, that's the next part. Again, these descriptions are shown as the gray text underneath the blue hyperlink in the SERPs. So you want to highlight the most attractive and relevant aspects of the content. And it's almost like a little advertising piece. Like, why should people click on your result and go to your website and read your content? So you can use power words that evoke emotions to get more clicks. So this all has to do with advertising psychology and getting people to get excited, get motivated to click on that result and read your article, go visit your page, read about your product, your service, whatever it is that's on that page. And try to keep your meta descriptions as concise and to the point as possible. So less than 155 characters, because if it's more than that, again, Google will truncate it, and then it just reads odd because there's like a dot, 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 and it just trails off. So by default, if you don't have a meta description, Google will just randomly take it from the first paragraph or so. And sometimes that's not the best way to actually take it, because it doesn't necessarily encompass what that whole article or page is about. Include actionable language to encourage more clicks, like call to action. So you can have the first part that's maybe learn about on-site SEO to enhance and get more organic traffic, read more in this article or something. Like, have a call to action at the end, and that will help to get people to click on it and go to it. Obviously, it needs to be on point and relevant. So you can use phrases like learn how to, discover, find out more to prompt users to take action. So you can add your primary keyword or secondary keywords within the description. Again, ideally as close to the beginning as possible, because what Google does is it kind of bolds these keywords. So it kind of acts like a eye magnet, and you kind of focus in there to see if it's relevant or not. You skim through. Just helps people find the most relevant listings. So queries are bolded and allows people to scan more easily to fit the search intent. So here's an example. So if I typed in local electrician, you can see that Google highlights or bolds like local electricians or local electrician or electrician with local. So anything to do with those keywords, it will kind of highlight that. And that will allow you to kind of see if something is relevant or not. So ensure that the content on the page aligns with the promises made in the meta description. This is really important because the danger of having it like too clickbait or something that's not really related just to get people to click on it is people won't trust your website anymore because they've been misled to content that doesn't align with what has been advertised in the meta description. So it's important to always make it relevant and aligned to it. So it should accurately represent what the users will find when they land on the page, and that enhances user satisfaction and builds trust over time, which is really, really important. We don't want any misleading content or claims. So that brings us to page headings. So page headings, there's 6 different levels or types of page headings. You got the H1, the main one for the topic. Lots of beginners confuse this with the page title. It's different, although it can be similar or the same as the actual page title. It basically just is the visible version that users can see, whereas the page title is actually in the HTML and not visible, but is visible in the tab or the web browser window and also in the SERPs. And then there's the H2 and the H3. Usually, most cases, you would only use these 3 unless you have a very detailed article that goes down and drills down into subtopics, where you might need to use H4, H5, and H6s. But most of the time, you probably use H2s and H3s. Every page needs an H1, so that's by default. And then you got, sometimes you might use H4s, but it really depends. So some of the best practices around page headings is you want to keep them concise again. Roughly around 10 to 70 characters is pretty good. Any longer and it starts to look, it's just a bit too long to read. It needs to be scannable, it needs to be skimmable when people scroll down the page. And it should really sum up the content that's beneath it, and sum it up quite clearly. So if you read what it is, even if you need the context of the heading above, then you'll know what it's about. So skimmable, and also never add keywords just for the sake of adding keywords. It should just flow naturally. You can add keywords and secondary keywords to it. Just make sure that it's used appropriately. And it should be relevant to the main topic and then read and flow naturally. I mean, all of this comes down to one thing. Just make the content high quality, relevant for the users, useful and valuable. And then don't try to game the system by adding in keywords, because that's just counterproductive these days. And it just makes for a really awkward reading experience as well. So including keywords in that H1, I would recommend including the primary keyword or the primary topic that you're talking about in your article or your blog post or your page, just so that it focuses in on what it is that you're talking about on that page. And then H2s, you can use variations of the primary keyword when relevant, but most of the time you'll probably use secondary keywords or other related phrases or topics that relate to that main keyword. Whatever it is that you need to do to make it relevant and aligned. And H3s tend to be more specific keywords that relate to the H2 topics. So it could be drilling down into subtopics there. So you can use some more context in H3s. Single H1 usage, like I mentioned before, there should be no less than or no more than one per web page. So this is important. And again, Google is smart enough to look past if there is multiple H1s, but this is just best practice. So just try to have one H1 per page, just to keep it clear. And then the main headings in your article or your blog post can be like H2s, and then you can have subheadings as H3s and so forth. And so the H1 is used for the page visible content title, like I mentioned. So it's not the page title, which is HTML, and it's hidden from the user. So H1, it can be seen as the title of the content, but it's actually the H1. Keep the header tags consistent. So choose between the title case or first the letter capitalization, whatever style or formatting you use in your headers, you should try to keep that consistent across all the content, all the pages and all the headers in those pages. Also, the length of headers, if you tend to have very short ones and concise ones, try to keep to that style, just because the more consistent your formatting and style is, the more predictable the user experience is, and people love to have predictable experiences to know what to expect. And so this should apply to all headers site-wide, just so that users can go there. Also, never skip levels, so always move one level at a time. So what I mean by that is go, like if you have an H2 and you need to go to subtopics, then then use H3s. Or if you're in H4 level and you need to have more subtopics, and go to H5. So don't go from let's say H3 all the way to H4 right away. Sometimes this is a common mistake because the formatting, the styling might be appealing for, like, let's say the styling for H5 might look better and someone might want to use an H5 just because it looks better, but just keep with the HTML and then you can use the styling later. You can change that or have your web developer change that to fit what you want. So always do it one level at a time. So respect the hierarchy. Make headers compelling. So again, this is like the titles, like meta descriptions. You want to add action verbs to convey urgency or importance. So people want to read what's below it. If it's just, kind of boring and stuff, it's less likely that people will read what's below, or they'll skim through quite quickly. So use numbers, statistics, or concrete details for specificity, and that will help people want to engage with the content and read more. You can even ask questions in headers to make readers curious, engage them, and read the answer below. You can also highlight the benefits of certain things using headers, and again, use power words that evoke emotion and interest. So that brings us on to the next part, is internal linking. So that's a really key on-site aspect that's really important and often underused and undervalued in terms of what impact it can bring. Because internal linking not only helps with user experience by helping people navigate the site and find relevant content, but it's also really important to distribute link equity or page authority to different pages, especially from high level pages like the home page or category level pages, which might have like accumulated quite a lot of backlinks, and then you can distribute that to key other pages that are relevant to it. So internal linking is really, really important, and should be done on your pages quite ongoingly as you add new content. So the first step really is to determine your website structure. And depending on the size of your site, that might take shorter or longer to do. But the main thing is to understand what pages exist on your website and the structural hierarchy, like how is it formatted? Are there different sections, content hubs, pillars, things like that that you need to be aware of. So what you can do is you can export your sitemap, your XML sitemap, into a spreadsheet like Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, and then you can sort and categorize these URLs by section. You can sort them by alphabetical order, and then it automatically you can see how how the content is structured by section, by category, and that gives you a bird's eye view of your website. So you can start clustering them. I usually like highlight these sections and then color code them with the background. And then I can start seeing, okay, so this is like the services area, and I got all my services and sub-services. And this is my blog area under, let's say, on-site SEO category, and all the blogs under that. So I can start seeing how it's structured and what is available to me to link to. So then you want to start linking between different levels of a hierarchy. So you can link out from the pillar pages. So pillar pages are like also known as cornerstone content or category pages or main pages, where you really want people to go to, and then from there they can explore subtopics, for example. So you want to link out from pillar pages to any child pages or related pages. So just in case you don't know the terminology, let's say you have a category page and a subcategory page or a blog article that's nested underneath. The category page is the parent page to the one below, and this is the child page, or that's basically a relative way to see it. And then you can basically, from each page, you can see the relationship between them based on where they are in the hierarchy. So you want to identify pages with the highest page authority, and that will allow you to understand and think about where you want to link to allow that page authority to flow and benefit those other pages. So that will help to pass on the link equity, and that will help those pages rank higher in the search results over time. So you want to link down from parent pages to child pages, and also from child pages to parent pages. So why is it that we want to do it the opposite as well? Because let's say that child page starts acquiring lots of backlinks and it's getting really great page authority. So instead of just collecting there, we can have that page authority flow upwards to the parent page, which might be like, let's say, a category page. And that starts growing stronger and stronger in authority as well. And that will help it to rank for more difficult keywords, because typically higher level pages like category pages are targeting more broad keywords, which tend to have a higher difficulty score. So you need a lot more domain authority, a lot more page authority for it to rank higher. So you can add key or pillar pages to the most appropriate navigational sections of your site. For example, the main menu, sidebar menus, category menus, anything where you think your visitors will visit more frequently, or you want to highlight more prominently, and then you can list them there. And you want to also, on, let's say, content pages, you want to put links higher up on the page because they're more likely to catch the user's attention. So think about it when you're browsing the web. Most of the time, you give the most of the attention, if you're skimming, to the first bit of the content that's above the fold, and then near to the end, because you kind of skim down and then you kind of slow down near the end, and you might read the outro or something. So ideally, the highest part on the page, that's where most of the attention will be in terms of traffic. So you want to have links positioned, the most important links positioned there. That enhances discoverability, usability for users, and then click-through rates. Also, ensure that links, internal links, are do follow and not no follow. So the difference between these is, by default, if you haven't set up anything, links are do follow or follow links. If you don't want to pass any link equity onwards, or you don't want crawlers, search engine crawlers, to visit those links and crawl them, then you need to explicitly mark them as no follow, and you can do that within your CMS or HTML code. It's quite simple to do that. So just keep them as do follow for internal links. So because you want to spread around the page authority. So next one is the first duplicate link has a priority. So there's times when you want to have a call to action, maybe at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, 1 or 2 times, and then one time at the end. That's completely fine. And I think it's a great practice to get the most click-through rates possible. However, just remember that the first link has the priority. So, and basically search engines typically give the most weight to that first occurrence of the link in terms of like following it first, and also in terms of looking at the anchor text within it and looking at how relevant that is. So just keep that in mind. Also avoid orphan pages. So orphan pages are pages that don't have any internal links pointing to them. And basically they're not discoverable by people just off the bat. And they might be able to discover it through, let's say, the XML sitemap somehow, some way. But by default, like in the navigations or on any of the content, they won't be able to find it. So it makes it really difficult for users to find this content and for search engines to discover it. So try to aim, as a rule of thumb, at least 2 to 3 internal links per page. And then it will allow users to find it easily through relevant content, and also search engines to crawl it much more efficiently. And also be aware of crawl depth. So crawl depth is how many levels of hierarchy deep do you go in the structure, or how many links does it take, or how many clicks does it take for a user to get to content piece. Ideally, any page should not be more than 3 clicks away from the home page. Otherwise, it's just too much clicking for both users and also search engines. So this is a good rule of thumb, just to make it ease of use and efficient. Now we'll go on to anchor text, and that's related to links. We want to keep the anchor text very concise because it's really important for users and search engines to understand what's on the page that it's being linked to. So keep the link labels clear, direct, user-friendly. And that allows visitors and search engines to quickly understand the content that they'll find after clicking the link. And that avoids risk of confusion. For example, if I had a anchor text right here that says, click here to find out more, and there's no context around that link, then that could be on any topic possible. And that's just confusing and creates uncertainty for users and creates almost a hesitation to want to visit that. But if that anchor text is like, learn about on-site SEO, well, there's 99.9% chance that article or that page is about on-site SEO, right? So that's how that works. So you want it high relevance to target page. And this provides users with a seamless and informative browsing experience. There's no misleading going on here. There's no like, click here to find out more about on-site SEO, and you click it and it goes to something about completely different topic. And then that obviously decreases, it just adds a negative user experience, really. So it helps users to know what to expect, builds trust, and encourages clicks. That's why we want it relevant to the topic. And also search engines use that relevance to determine the quality and authority of a page as well. So having this varied anchor text and the relevant anchor text is really important to figure out what that page is about as well. It gives it more content and more context. So anchor text frequently, how often do you sprinkle in anchor text within a piece of content? It's a good question. I think there's no exact number, but it's really about balancing it with how useful is it, how relevant is it. Typically, websites with a lot more pages have more opportunities for internal linking, and therefore you'll see more internal links than, let's say, a much smaller site with, let's say, 10 pages. There'll be less opportunities to find relevant text to link to, for example. And again, overusing the same anchor text, like the exact match, can be seen as manipulative by search engines and could, if overused to the maximum, lead to penalties. So it's important to just make it natural, and it doesn't have to be the exact match keywords. It can be anything around that specific topic, maybe different phrase, something like that. For example, if the page is about on-site SEO, then I might use anchor text like learn more about on-site SEO, or check these on-site SEO tips, or I might keep it short and say top on-site SEO guide or something like that. So use anchor text naturally. Typically, when I create content, I write the content, and then I go through as I edit, and I find relevant snippets of text within a sentence, and then I realize that relates to a post or a page that we already have, and then I highlight a relevant piece and I link to it, rather than going in and trying to insert keywords into random places. There are times where you think it might be worth mentioning a topic or something. Okay, then go in, add a line or two, just write a line or two that kind of introduces a topic or something, and then again hyperlink the most relevant anchor text there. You want to also diversify the anchor text types, because typically we've just been focusing on like the text, but there's also images as well. So you can also hyperlink images, so switch between them as well, and avoid relying solely on exact match keywords, like I said. So you can use partial match, so it could be like secondary keywords or similar brand names. You can mix in your brand name with it, generic terms. Yeah, like click here now, learn more. Those are completely fine to use if it has context next to it. So let's say the sentence is about, we're going to be talking about on-site SEO in this article, blah, 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 blah. Learn more here. Google knows that learn more here has to do with on-site SEO because it's in that paragraph, in that sentence next to it. So it's smart enough to know that. But so you can use some of those image-based anchors, etc. So this broadens the scope for information that you can convey through your links and builds context around those content pieces. So let's talk about content creation. A few tips on the best practices when you create content, especially SEO focused content. So focus on the primary topic that you want to create the blog post or the page about, and then write as closely to that as possible. So when you're writing, let's say, a comprehensive article, be as in-depth as possible. Try to cover everything about that article, because if it's just a few pieces, it's less value than, let's say, another article about the same thing that covers a lot more and adds more value. So try to be comprehensive as possible. So what you can do to see if you are or not is research your competitors' articles. Look at how detailed they go into it, what topics they cover in that keyword. And then you can get an idea about, okay, this is the level of article or page that I need to write. So create a detailed structure first. So I usually do my research, look at all the topics, questions, things I need to cover for that specific keyword. And then I structure it hierarchically, the main headings, the subheadings, the sub-subheadings, and then that creates like a skeleton structure. And then I fill it in with the content afterwards. And so that also eliminates writer's block as well, which is staring at a blank page, because you already have what you need to write. Now you just need to write about it in each of the sections, and voila, you've got your content. So you can make it as engaging as possible. You can embed videos. It doesn't have to be your own. You can find videos that you like and are valuable on YouTube and embed those. You can add images, charts and graphs if it's statistics or whatever, images, diagrams, whatever. Just make it engaging. Um, and if you can separate a topic into, let's say, a new page or a new article that's targeting a keyword, let's say with a decent search volume and a decent level of difficulty, then do that. So if you can split something up into smaller or sub pages, that's better, because then you can have the opportunity for that page to rank for that keyword, rather than having like all the topics on a single page, which makes it confusing. It's better to have like focus pages and then link between them like that. There will be some overlap, and that's okay. Like, let's say you have a category level page and you talk about some of these topics, but then for more detailed information, you'd link to those subtopics and then have more information on those pages, for example. So you can create content clusters. So that's basically what I was referring to, like the main topic and then the subtopics as separate pages underneath that, and then link between them. So think about topic hierarchy and structure your content accordingly. Instead of having all the blog posts, all the pages on just one level, you want to make sure it's structured as in a logical hierarchy. Now, using AI, I mean, the last 2 years have been crazy in terms of AI developments, in terms of content creation and image and video creation and all of that. So here's some of the best practices around using AI tools to create content. So like with anything, any tools, you use it as a starting point. So you can generate, let's say, a draft article, and then from there, you can start editing it, add to it, remove bits, change the tone of voice, whatever you want to do, but make it yours. Modify it according to your brand's tone of voice, according to your audience, according to the area in the world, the localization that you're targeting. All of that is quite nuanced. And even with the best of AI tools and prompts, you might not be able to get to that level. So that's why it requires still human intervention, human editing to make it as refined as possible. So you can also, with Google's latest guidance on quality standards, it likes to see like expert opinions and your own brand opinions in there, and experiences. So if you can add unique viewpoints and opinions and things like that within your content, that will definitely boost it in terms of quality, and also it create something unique that's not on any other site. And it's original information. So Google really likes that, because with AI content, yeah, anyone can use it. Anyone can write a topic about pretty much any other topic. But is it unique when you compare two different AI articles? It might have been written differently, but it's pretty much the same topic. But to make it different is you can add your own opinions, perspectives, experiences, a more human kind of level of perspectives as well. And also fact check. Not a lot of AI stuff can get things wrong, so make sure that the information is accurate when you go in there. And you can also, it'd be good to also reference certain facts to link it to the actual source or the research data if you're, and that will help in terms of trust and authority. So let's quickly hop onto Hike's brand new on-site optimizer feature, and we'll see how we can actually do some of these things that we mentioned. And that will make it so much easier than having to go into your own CMS and do it like that. It's just right within Hike, and you can go click, 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 and publish. So let's just head on over there, and I'll show you how to use that. So within Hike, you would basically, in the menu, you'd go to click on On-Site Optimizer. and then you can watch like a video on how to use it here. You can click on that. Otherwise, you can click on launch now, and then this page comes up, and this basically shows you the website that you're editing and the page, and you can pick different pages if you want to switch between them. And then, okay, so let's say you want to do page title. So you go click under SEO settings, and you can edit the page title right here. So, whatever you want to edit it as. You can also have AI generate some if you're not really sure. So you can click on that. But before you can actually do that, you need to assign keywords because it needs to know what keywords to sprinkle in there. So you need to go to your sitemap right here, strategy, and keyword sitemap, and assign keywords. And once you've assigned keywords, then you can generate some AI options and pick one that you like best and even modify it. So that's the page title. The meta description you can write in here. Again, you can have AI kind of write one for you. Again, it requires the keywords to be assigned, and then it will generate some versions, and you can modify it if you want. Here you can change the canonical URL. So let's say you have multiple versions of the same content, but you want Google to know that this is the one that you want ranking, not the other ones. Then you can add the canonical URL and make sure you do the same to the other duplicate pages. So then they'll point to the correct version. It also has the meta robots tag. So you can add a robots tag in here. Let's say if you want to no index this page, or let's say you want to no follow all the links on this page, you can add that here. And then you can also add JSON LD. So this is a type of markup specifically used in schema.org. So if you're not really sure, check out schema.org, and you can look at, let's say, an organization. And if you're not sure how to use this, for example, you can go down to the examples at the bottom and click on JSON LD, and then that's kind of like the format that it needs. So you can use this as a template, and then you can modify this. Let's say you just copy that into like a text editor, and you can modify that info. And then once you're done, you can like copy and paste that if it's relevant for that page into the JSON LD section. And then that can help with your schema markup quite easily. And you can save the settings. So that's for like the main kind of page settings. Now for more detailed ones, let's say this is the H1 here, which it is, you can modify just by clicking on it, and then changing it, Techno 24/7. So you can just like, what you see is what you get kind of editing, which is really easy. Again, with headers, so that's an H2 right here. You can switch between them as well. So that's pretty easy. And you can edit that. You can pretty much edit any text here. And then, so you even like this, you can even change hyperlinks. So let's say you want to do some internal linking. So we go, let's say we want to internal link something. Let's go up here, technology blog. So let's say we want to do that. So we need to select the anchor text that we want. Or here we go. So we want to select that. And then we can click on this, add a link. And then you enter the path or the URL that you want to link it to, and then it will add the link in here. And so that's a way to do internal linking really easily. And then you can, so it's much easier using this to, like, let's say select some anchor text that's relevant to one of your pages and just do that. So, and once you're all done, you just click on, and you want to publish it, click on publish, and it will publish it directly to your site. And yeah, super simple. So that's how to use the on-site optimizer to basically optimize your on-site page SEO, which is makes it much simpler than before. So yeah, I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to leave it open to questions now. So I'm going to open the chat, and if you guys have any questions about on-site SEO, feel free to pop it in the chat, and I'm happy to answer it. Okay. Anyone have any questions about anything we covered? It's okay if you don't. No, I'm not seeing anyone. Thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome, James. Fantastic. Yeah, so it's just like the high level important things, just so it's easy, keep top of mind exactly what you need to do. Just keep your on-site SEO to the optimal level. Cool, cool. Does your on-site optimizer work on any site? Yes, it does. So it doesn't matter if you're using Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, custom site, whatever it is, it works on any type of platform because it's add stuff on top of it. And how, okay, so that's how that works. How does the what you see is what you get works? Will it work with any website? Yes, Sharad. So you can basically edit any text that's already on the site, add links, things like that. So Shauna, okay, that might be something, yeah, so that's a good thing to check with the support, so we can get that sent to the developers to look into. So just send a message or chat with support@pikeseo.co and just flag that. That'd be great, so we can fix that ASAP. Cool, cool. Anyone have any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoyed that, learned something new. And for those of you who haven't yet tried On-Site Optimizer, please do, and it will really speed up your SEO implementation, especially on site. Cool. All right. Take care, guys, and I'll see you guys hopefully in the next webinar.